Hey there, Michael here. Okay, before we start the show, I want to take a moment to tell you about the upcoming 423 Day Festival. 423 is the area code around here, and the 423 Day Festival is all about celebrating our local community. Obviously, you know I love Chattanooga, and if you're listening to this show to begin with, I bet you do too. We'll have local food and vendors, a cornhole tournament, and live local entertainment. And I'll be the MC. So come on down to Miller Park between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. on April 23rd for the 423 Day Festival. I'd love to meet you, so please come find me and say hello. Again, 423 Day Festival in the afternoon of April 23rd at Miller Park downtown. Find out more at 423day.com. That's 423 like the numbers, day like the word, .com. I'll see you there. You're listening to My Part of Town, Chattanooga, a podcast tour of our city by the people who know it best. Each episode features a conversation about a different neighborhood or aspect of life here in the scenic city. My name is Michael Crosa. Thank you for stopping by. This episode is sponsored by Heather Hendrickson at the Hendrickson Agency, a local insurance agency properly protecting your most precious possessions. I'll tell you more after the show, but in the meantime, please enjoy this episode of My Part of Town, Chattanooga. The name Chattanooga is derived from a Creek Indian word which means rock coming to a point, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. That name is referring to a very specific rock that comes to a very specific point high above the city. It's a major landmark that you can almost always spot on the horizon no matter where you are. This is, of course, Lookout Mountain.
Okay, we're at Cravens House.
Hello. Do I introduce myself?
We'll do that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the Cravens House. It's on Lookout Mountain.
Okay.
It is a historic Civil War landmark. This whole park is part of the Chickamauga battlefield. So, of course, the Civil War, Chattanooga had a big part in that. And the Cravens House was essentially used for both Union and Confederate troops as sort of like a strategic place for them to meet and discuss war stuff.
Okay.
Now, you may have noticed in previous episodes that I prefer to record with my guests in their part of town, if not their actual business, rather than in a studio, and this episode is no exception. Well, it kind of is, because when I got to our meeting spot, which was on historic Civil War grounds maintained by the National Park Service, it was just so beautiful that I made the game day decision to record this outside. So I hope you'll forgive me for the occasional mic handling noises, but I think that the sound of the birds and the wind in the trees will more than make up for it.
Can you describe this view?
Yeah, so we are looking at downtown Chattanooga right now. This is the Moccasin Bend area of the river. So you can actually see, let's see, where is the aquarium? Aquarium is in that direction. Right? Yeah, it's that way.
I would need to clean my glasses.
I'm looking. Oh, I see it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So you can see sort of to the left of the Cravens House the view of the aquarium and downtown Chattanooga, and then to the right you start seeing more of the spread of Chattanooga, including like Alton Park and more of the South Market area. And then further out you can see the nuclear power plant.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So
way out there.
Yeah, way out there. On a really clear day, this isn't even the clearest I've seen it, but on a really clear day, you can really see very far.
Nice.
Like there's some even further mountains in the distance that you can see.
And we're like on the point of Lookout Mountain, basically, right?
Yeah, and we're about halfway up Lookout Mountain, so this isn't even the highest view. If you go all the way up to the top to Point Park, which is included in this Chickamauga Battlefield Park, you can really see pretty far, and that you can see both sides of the mountain as well.
Nice.
So you can see the backside and the Chattanooga Valley. I live right down the road, so I've brought a lot of friends here, and especially at night, to look at the stars. Like when there's meteor showers, it's a pretty good spot.
Nice.
It's also a great spot to watch the fireworks on 4th of July.
So after we walked around Craven's house for a bit, we went and sat down on the foot of a monument to have the rest of our conversation. The monument itself was one made for Ohio soldiers. That's actually something you notice in this park, that monuments were erected by the states for the soldiers lost, regardless of what state or what side they fought on. It's probably worth a whole episode to dive into the history of the battle itself and the collaborative nature of this park, but let's stay on topic.
I'm Carlin McRae. I work at Ruby Falls. I'm the director of operations. I also live on Lookout Mountain, about like 3/4 of a mile from the Cravens House.
Nice. Cool. How long have you lived up here?
I have lived on Lookout Mountain since 2013. So what is that, 10 years?
I guess so.
Long time.
Yeah, what brought you up here?
Well, I previously lived in North Shore, and I had a friend at the time who lived on Lookout Mountain, and she needed a roommate, and I needed a roommate, so I moved up here, and then I've been up here ever since.
Nice. So what if somebody's never heard of Ruby Falls? What is that?
So Ruby Falls is a tourist attraction on Lookout Mountain. It is a cave tour, and it's been open to the public since 1929. There is a very large waterfall at the back of the cave. So when you take the tour, you'll walk a half-mile distance through the cave to the waterfall and spend some time there and turn around and come back. And along the way, your tour guide will tell you about interesting facts about the cave and geology and the history of Ruby Falls and the history of the man who found Ruby Falls, stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we host about 500,000 guests every year.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
lots of people.
And there's a lot of other tourist attractions up here.
Yep, there's
Yeah.
Rock City, there's the Incline, there's Point Park, there's the Battles of Chattanooga Civil War Museum. There's a lot of Civil War stuff up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like, well, like I guess Rock City in particular, but there's a lot of that kind of tourist draw that was a big part of like Chattanooga identity.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chattanooga, I mean, the entire time I've lived here for, 19 years? Yep, almost 20 years. And since I've lived here, the tourism economy has been at the forefront of everything I know about Chattanooga. And every time people talk about Chattanooga,
Yeah.
they talk about tourism. Because it is such a foundational part of our economy, and it's what brings people here. It's what, even on the holidays when the locals need to get all their extended family out of the house, they're going to take them to an attraction.
Yeah.
So
I'm guilty of that.
it's important to not just the locals, but people who are visiting Chattanooga. And tourism in general will draw more people to Chattanooga who are interested in starting new businesses or
Yeah.
bringing their companies here, all kinds of things like that.
Do y'all have like softball games between Rock City and?
Actually, we used to.
Okay.
We used to. And Ruby Falls is the reigning champion.
Okay. Nice.
Since COVID, though, we haven't done it in several years, so maybe we can bring it back.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fun. Do a lot of the people that work there also live up here?
Some of us do. A lot of people actually commute from North Georgia and further out. A lot of people that work at Ruby Falls prefer to be a little bit more in solitude when they're
Sure.
not at work.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of people commute from Cleveland and Rossville and places like that.
Nice. What's life like up here?
It's quiet, which is what I prefer. I know that when I lived downtown, I got really tired of hearing sirens and like sounds of people all night long. And I'm a very light sleeper, so that wasn't working out for me. Moving up here, I have the convenience of being downtown within 10 minutes, but I also can come home and it can be quiet and, I can be in my happy place.
Yeah, I was surprised at how quickly I got up here.
Yeah, it's very quick.
I think of it as being like a 30-minute drive, but it's
really not. Yeah, people all the time get really scared about the thought of driving up Lookout Mountain.
all the way up Lookout
all the
Mountain.
way up with all those winding roads.
Yeah, which,
And
okay, there are.
There are, but you
But-
know what? We don't have the W road like Signal Mountain, so.
That's right. Yeah, we had a whole section on that on the Signal Mountain episode. the W, the
Scary.
W road. Yeah. I know this is okay. This is a stupid question.
Okay.
Whenever I'm driving up here, all I see is houses. Where's the grocery store?
Well,
Is there like a town center?
so yeah, if you go up further, there, like the top of Lookout Mountain is actually its own city.
Oh, okay.
They do have the store that I'm familiar with is the market, the mountain market.
Okay.
And it's a really small store. Like they've got good sandwiches. They've got a deli. They've got chips and snacks and stuff like that. So it's not like a Walmart. I know that there is a Dollar General somewhere further up on the mountain, but it's newer, so I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
But no, if you want like a food city, you go to St. Elmo. Walmart, you go to Lookout Valley.
Gotcha. What about like community places, like bars? Are there, things like that where people gather?
Yeah, so right next to the mountain market, there's a place called Canopy Bar, and it's a coffee and like cocktail bar. There used to be a restaurant that I think we are still waiting to hear if it's going to reopen, called Cafe on the Corner. They had a bar, and that was like the famous restaurant on Lookout Mountain that everybody went to. They had a great brunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. What are your favorite spots, be they businesses or park spots or?
Well, Cravens House is definitely one of them for the view,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you want, like I said, when you want to see the fireworks and you don't want to go downtown. My front porch is pretty great.
Honestly, that's good. You know what I mean? Like when home is your favorite place, that's great.
Yeah, well, and also from my front porch, right now with all the leaves off the trees, I can see downtown, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I really like Mountain Market. It's a good place to just get a quick sandwich. It's also one of the only places in Chattanooga that I can find that stocks Orangina, which I don't know if you're familiar
Yeah.
with that, but it's like my favorite drink ever. So I can find it there.
Nice.
And yeah, Cafe on the Corner, if they ever reopen, I hope they will.
Yeah. Knock on wood. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
What's like to the community of people like up here? Do neighbors talk much, or is it a quieter, keeps to itself place?
Well, I think it depends on what part of Lookout Mountain you live on. I know that the people predominantly who live on the very top of the mountain are pretty involved with each other. I'm a part of the Facebook group, the Lookout Mountain neighborhood page, and so there's a lot of chatter on that. Where I live, like I said, is pretty close to Cravens House, so I'm not in the city of Lookout Mountain. I'm pretty close with my neighbors, but that's just because we share a lot of interests. But I don't have a lot of close neighbors other than that. Like I have physically one neighbor right next to me in a house that's right next to mine, and then there's just woods other than that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Do you have any like favorite stories of things that happened up here?
Oh gosh. Well, I have a lot of stories. The first one that comes to mind is one time my best friend was visiting me, and she likes to run, and she actually came to the Cravens House and was going to run on one of the trails, and she put on her music playlist, and it started playing this heavy metal song, which, side note, I am not a heavy metal person. I don't
Okay.
know why she likes that. I don't know what's wrong with her. But she started to play this heavy metal song that was about war, and so she skipped it, and as she, went on her run, she came back to the Cravens House, and the song, like, on shuffle, played again. And so she skipped it again, and then she came back across the Cravens House and started to play again, so she thought this place is haunted for sure. So that's pretty weird.
Yeah.
She came back to my house and was pretty freaked out by that.
Huh.
I once had a bear living in my yard.
What?
Yeah.
Living.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just there for a couple days, but
Still.
Yeah, I never actually saw it. I just heard it, and I saw like the aftermath. So in my side yard, which isn't really a yard, it's not grass, it's like ivy and boulders. I woke up one morning and I saw that all of the ivy had been matted down, like something large and heavy had been laying on it. And I thought that was really weird. And the next night I was laying in bed and I heard outside of my bedroom window like really heavy thudding like footsteps, and I heard it like kind of like a low grumble, and I was like, that's definitely not a deer. So the only thing I can figure is it had to have been a bear.
Yeah.
And I know that there's been bear sightings on the mountains, so that's something that happened. Yeah.
Okay, wait. I'm just now piecing something together. Lots of Civil War history.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend had a ghost experience. Are there ghosts up here?
Oh yeah, we are so haunted up here.
Tell me more. Somehow skipped over that completely. Tell me more.
I guess when I talk about Civil War stuff, I'm like, doesn't everybody think it's haunted?
Yeah.
Well, Ruby Falls is a certified haunted attraction.
No kidding.
Yeah, we've had ghost hunters coming in, the whole deal.
Okay.
They like talked to
the whole TV
some
shows.
ghosts. Well, it wasn't like the Ghost Hunters TV show. It was like
okay.
some ghost league of people that come and certify places. I don't know, that was years ago, but I like to tell that story. We have a lot of stories, like ghost stories about Ruby Falls. One of my coworkers, he likes to tell a story about how one time he was climbing a ladder in the cave and lost his footing and started to fall, and he claims he felt two hands push his shoulders forward so that he didn't fall on his back, he fell on his feet.
Whoa.
Yeah. He is a very superstitious person, so I don't know. I have definitely heard weird things at my house.
Yeah.
But I also live in the woods on the side of a mountain, so
fair enough.
Who knows what that could be?
Yeah.
My fridge can be very loud sometimes too. But yeah, I think a lot of people have experienced what they claim to be supernatural events up here, just because of lots of people have died up here.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Do you? Because I know that there were like some big battles. I don't really know the kind of how it fits in though.
Battle Above the Clouds is one of the most famous battles on Lookout Mountain, Civil War battles on Lookout Mountain. And it was, from the little I know, lots of people died. Lots of people died in really silly ways. Like, for example, the troops that were coming up the mountain, they were firing their cannons up the mountain, but of course the cannonballs were just coming back on them. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
messy.
Oopsie daisy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. And, of course, Civil War, so there's just going to be a lot of bloodshed anyways.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. If somebody's thinking about moving to Lookout Mountain, what would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them if they are looking to rent on Lookout Mountain, they're going to have trouble finding rental property. I'm very fortunate that I'm one of the few people that was able to find an affordable rental up here. A lot of the property on Lookout Mountain is, pretty pricey. So it's also older property. So if you're interested in buying on Lookout Mountain, be prepared for a lot of issues with your houses from the foundation. Of course, living on a mountain, there will likely be
sliding off.
Yeah, there's going to be some problems. So just know what you're getting into when you move up here. But if you are willing to take that on, then the actual life of living on Lookout Mountain is very nice. It's peaceful. You can see lots of people like to get out and walk around.
Yeah.
There's lots of hiking trails that are very accessible. Lots of people bring their pets up here, and you'll see a lot of wildlife up here too. I've seen turkeys and, of course, deer and foxes and bobcats and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And if people want to learn more about Ruby Falls or any of the tourist attractions up here, where can they go?
Well, each attraction has a website. There's also a shared website called Lookout Mountain Attractions. visiting the attractions themselves, even if you don't actually go through the attractions, at least at Ruby Falls, most of the people that work for us have worked for us for 5 years or more, so they're pretty familiar with the mountain, Chattanooga, the history of Ruby Falls and stuff like that. So a lot of them are pretty in depth with knowledge and can share a lot of information.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks. Anything you want to plug? Anything you're doing? Give shout outs to?
Well, I mean, I guess I could say the stuff about my art.
Yeah, say that.
Okay.
Where can we find that?
So you can follow me on Instagram. I make mosaics from found objects, so broken jewelry and broken pottery and paper and yarn and all kinds of weird things. I will put them into a mosaic composition. My Instagram is just my name, Carlin.McRae. So,
cool.
Yeah.
We'll link it in the show notes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Carlin, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Hope that was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
This episode is sponsored by the Hendrickson Agency, a local insurance agency properly protecting your most precious possessions. The owner, Heather Hendrickson, is a friend of mine, and you'll be hearing her voice in different episodes of the show. Heather is a wonderfully warm and welcoming person. She's able to demystify the insurance buying process, even for people like me who, quite frankly, need a lot of help in that department. Heather says that she's not trying to have the biggest numbers, she's focusing on people. Her mission is relationships first, honest policy assessment second, and devoted service always. So whether you're looking for car, life, home, pet, or business insurance, I highly recommend Heather at the Hendrickson Agency. She even covers bikes and boats. I'll put her contact information in the show notes, and when you call the Hendrickson Agency for your insurance needs, tell them I said thanks for sponsoring the show. Thank you for listening to My Part of Town Chattanooga. Our theme song is Chattanooga Skiffle by Lon Eldridge. Help with editing and social media provided by Kit Panaglima of Workergenics. Please be sure to subscribe and find us on social media so that you never miss an episode. I'd love to hear from you. So to tell me what makes this city special to you, or to learn more about what you heard, send an email over to mpotchattanooga@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. I can't wait to tell you more in our next episode of My Part of Town, Chattanooga.
I said a lot of and so. Oh, that's okay. You can edit that out or something, right?
Okay, so yes and